Hello class, welcome to Pre-Algebra Lesson 7.7, which is all about simple and compound interest. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to solve simple interest and compound interest problems, as well as apply them to real-world examples. So we have some new vocab with this section, and it's not often that I ask you to please write down your vocab, but this is a section that you really need to know these words. I will not be able to tell you when you're taking your test what the interest is, what principal is, what a simple interest formula is, the compound interest formula. I won't be able to answer any of those questions. This is something you need to study and practice before your test, okay? So, interest is the amount of money paid or earned for the use of money by a bank. Okay, so interest is typically referred to as like interest rates, and it's associated with a percentage. Okay, so interest is associated with a percentage, and I'll teach you how to solve for interest a little bit later. Principal is the amount of money that is invested or borrowed. That's always going to be your starting amount. Okay, that is the starting amount. And if you would rather just write principal starting amount, that is fine with me. You don't have to write down that big long sentence. Simple interest is an amount paid only on the initial principal of a savings account or a loan. Okay, so simple interest is something that you will learn more about as you get older, about when you have to borrow money from a bank, or when you put money into a savings account, you can earn money, all of those things. And if you ask your parents about this, this is something that they'll know something about, and they can talk to you about what interest does. Okay, so simple interest, this is our formula right here. You should definitely take a screenshot of this or write it down in a place that you can reference later. Okay, so interest is represented by I, so I say I equals PRT. P stands for principal, R stands for the annual interest rate as a decimal, and then T represents time in years. So interest equals PRT. Okay, you need to know that. And we'll practice a couple of problems with it. Then compound interest is the amount paid on the initial principal and interest earned in the past. So that means that you can earn more money with compound interest, and I will show you what that looks like in just a couple of minutes. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the compound interest formula. We're going to say A, so that's our amount, okay, equals the principal times, and then we say 1 plus R, so our interest rate, raised to the T power. Now this is a simplified version of the compound interest formula. In 8th grade, you'll learn a little bit more advanced version of this, okay? So A represents your amount, so like kind of your total. P represents the starting amount. R represents the interest rate, again as a decimal. And then T represents time in years. So let's move on and try one of these. So this one's a simple interest problem. So that's our I equals PRT. Okay, so we're finding the simple interest. So that means we're solving for I right now. So I equals P, the principal is the starting amount. In this case, that's 1,000 times my rate is 4.5% as a decimal. Remember, you move your decimal place 2 places to the left. So I'm going to say 1,000 times 0.0045, and then times our time, which is 2. So in my calculator, I can just type it in just like that. I can say 1,000 times 0.0045 times 2, and I find out that my interest is $9. Okay? So if I was asked how much interest was earned, this would be my answer. Today you guys are going to be doing an IXL, and sometimes it'll ask just for the interest, and sometimes it'll ask for the total amount, in which case you would take the starting amount and add the interest. So you would know that the new total was $1,009. Okay? So you need to pay attention when you're working on IXL to what the directions are asking you to solve for. I was practicing this IXL skill and I was not reading carefully, and I got, I think, 3 wrong because I did not read the directions. Okay, so you need to pay attention to what it's asking you. Okay, let's look at that second problem there on the screen. Now we are told that we're investing $2,250 at 6% for 4 months. Okay, so again, our interest, our simple interest formula is I equals PRT. So we're solving for the interest. Our principal, our starting amount is that $2,250 times 6% as a decimal. Remember, you move it 2 places. Becomes 0.06 times, and then I say that we have 4 months. Okay, remember, I always say that it's time in years. Okay, so 4 months is how much of a year? So how many months are in a year? We know that there are 12 months. So I'm going to convert 4 months to years by saying 4 divided by 12, which is 1/3 or 0.3 repeating. So I'm going to type in 0.3 repeating. So I'm going to say 0.3 repeating times that 0.06 times 2,250, and I find out that the interest earned would be $45. Then if I wanted to find my total amount, depending on what the question is asking for, I would just add it to my starting amount. So 2,250 plus 45 equals $2,295. Okay, so that would be my total amount. Let's move on to compound interest, okay? So I said the amount, let me try writing that again. The amount equals the principal times 1 plus the rate raised to the t power, okay? So we have the amount is what we are solving for, but we see what is the total amount of money in an account where $600 is invested at a rate of 8.75% compounded annually for 2 years. So my principal is that 600, then I say 1 plus R is my interest rate. I move my decimal 2 points, so 2 spaces, 0.0875 raised to the t power. T is time in years, which luckily I have, so I'm just going to say 2. Now I can type this into my calculator as is. I can say 600 parentheses 1 plus 0.0875, close my parentheses. All that I have to do is either use the squared key, which will just give you a 2 that looks like this, or some of you might feel more comfortable using the caret and then the 2 key. Both of them will get you the correct answer. So then we know that the amount is $709.59. Okay, and that is what we were solving for. It wanted the total amount, and this formula gives you that total amount. Okay, if we were trying to find just the interest, you would take that total amount and you would subtract our starting amount, which was $600. So then you would say that it was $109.59 for interest. Okay, so depending on what it asks you on IXL, you want to pay attention, because otherwise you might do the problem correctly but type in the wrong final answer. Okay, now this last question for today, find the total amount. What is the total amount of interest in an account where $5,000 is invested at a rate of 5% compounded annually for 3 years? So again, A equals the principal times 1 plus R raised to the t power. So I'm going to say A equals the principal is 5,000 Then I say 1 plus 5% as a decimal, 0.05, and then raised to the third power. So if I type that into my calculator just like that, I'm going to end up with 5,788.13. I'm going to round to 2 decimal places because we're talking about money. Okay, so I have $5,788.13 is my total, but I want the amount of interest. So I'm going to subtract the starting amount and see how much interest was earned. So $788.13 would be my final answer. Okay, so make sure that you have examples written down and ready, maybe on a sheet of paper or a screenshot right next to you while you are doing your assignments. That way you can really practice this, okay? If you have questions, please be sure to reach out for some help. I am happy to help you. Have a great day.